We are live. It is the most bizarre time to be a football fan at the minute. The European Super League agenda has been on the table since Sunday, or led to believe probably a few months before then. We are going to talk about West Ham and how possibly that it does impact us. But news is coming out that Chelsea and Manchester City are likely to withdraw from it. Dan, thoughts on this, mate? Because again, I don't think they should go unpunished, and we'll discuss the level of sanctions towards some of these clubs. But the reality is, it's good to see that they are reacting to fan pressure, and that hopefully this Super League thing is going to be disbanded a lot quicker than we first thought.
Yeah, it's good to see fans prevailing, mate. Like you said, coming into force, effectively having protests and going from there. At the end of the day, fans say football, fans make football. All the players agree with that. You've seen people like Rashford, Daniel Podence tweet, Luke Shaw's just tweeted now, hasn't he? So I think the common sense is prevailing in the fact that without fans, football is nothing. This greed and money will just drive football into this different planet, and it won't, it's not sustainable. So
yeah, I completely agree. And I think it's a bit of a case of having your cake and eat it. I'm sure we can talk about La Liga and Serie A later, but the Premier League, particularly, even the two clubs we've mentioned, Chelsea and Manchester City, shouldn't be forgotten that even though they are pulling out of it, the reality is they've got so much money that I'm not quite sure what they thought they were going to do when they were going to get in it. And people are levelling almost like an excuse at it, saying, well, they didn't want to miss out on it. At the end of the day, and I mean, you've spoken about this before, it's tearing the heart out of the integrity of the sport. And for them to sign on to something like that, even though now they're backing down from it, completely unacceptable. And I do hope the Premier League throw as much at them as they possibly can.
Yeah, they can't bottle it. The sanctions they give them need to be as severe as possible, mate. But I just think that they will fine them, and that's it. I just have a bad feeling because Chelsea, even though Chelsea and City have now pulled out, fair play to them. They've had the backlash and they've bottled it because of that. But they need to be, for me, they need to be chucked out of the league, or they need to be given a transfer embargo for 2 years, or thrown out of Europe. It's not. I just can't see the Premier League doing much, to be honest. But they need to.
I think they have to. The thing is, when you come out that strongly beforehand, you've really got to show some backbone and integrity. And all 14 clubs that they voted for some kind of action, or at least that they were all against the Super League proposals. And although that doesn't really, I thought it was a little bit wishy-washy, if I'm honest, from the Premier League. I would have liked to have possibly seen a bit more action. They've had time to think through things. It's a clear breach of certain rules. Yeah. And the truth is that even if they do come back, the fact that they've agreed to, and I think it is in part of the rule, but they've agreed to have a competition outside of their agreement means that they can be punished. So again, the problem is, and you say this quite rightly, the practicality of the whole issue is, are you really going to chuck Chelsea and Manchester City out of the Premier League? Of course you're not, because the reality is we know what that means to the Premier League in terms of a product. We know what it means to TV companies, but you've got to set an example, because you cannot allow them to go out there, take a money grab, an unnecessary money grab, and let them walk back in, because that intention's still there. These owners are still going to be the same. They're not going to just change their thoughts overnight. So even if it doesn't come in this type of form where the Super League is very, very harsh, it could come back in the future. So they've got to set a bit of a precedent.
Yeah, exactly. And it's exactly that, mate. And it's not, it's not an overnight decision from the owners. Yes, they may be forced into it slightly, but this would have been going on for months. This discussion behind people's back, behind fans' back, this would have been planned and implemented closely for a while. It's not just happened. It's not happened overnight. It's not happened in a few days. So these owners that are now bottling it, mate, they're finding out the repercussions. I don't. It remains to be seen if Arsenal, United, and Liverpool will back out, because obviously they're American investment, and that's where it's driven from, isn't it? Kroenke and all them, and we'll get onto Arsenal soon about the audacity of them as well to join this league when they're ninth for the Premier League. They can't even beat Fulham, by the way. They were shambles, mate, as well as Spurs, both shambolic to watch. So
it's irrespective of that, isn't it? It's just to do with they're the elite few in terms of financial revenue and fan bases, and that the problem we're going to get to, like you say, is because of the fact that some of those owners of some of those clubs are vice chairman. In fact, all of them are of Liverpool, Manchester United, and Arsenal. So they aren't going to back down from this. And even though, for me, Chelsea and Man City have relented a little bit, that doesn't necessarily mean that it falls apart. It will take one of those clubs. And I think, to be fair, although the fans have been drawn into this from some of those clubs, it take them to force the issue on it. Because if you take one of them key ones out, somebody that is a vice chairman of that association, then it will fall apart. At the moment, it's breaking in terms of support, but it's not fully fledged.
Yeah, but you see Perez's comments, mate, saying, if you ban the players from the World Cup, we'll create our own World Cup. He's got an answer to everything, hasn't he? Apparently, and his comments last night were drove me up the wall, mate, to be honest. I was fuming when he said about 16 to 24-year-olds start having interest in football. You come to my flat and we'll have a talk about football, see who knows more. Do you know what I mean? It's just disrespect, mate. It's just disrespect. Yes, they need money. Yes, football is very money orientated now, and this is sadly inevitable for me in sport, especially in football, because the amount of money you see now is through the roof, mate. But this is a harsh lesson to these elite clubs that the Premier League is an unpredictable league. We're in fourth. They just want this automatic qualification to supposedly one of the best leagues in the world that it'll be, where they'll play each other each week, and it'll be amazing. But the fans have come together. They're coming force, mate. Good on them all. And they've just said, we don't want this.
Yeah, so I've just seen Atletico Madrid are pulling out now. Barcelona's president's come out and said that they won't join unless the fans agree to it, which again is another feather in the cap. And I think that's the main thing. I think what we're seeing now with some of these clubs pulling out is the pull that somebody like a Florentino Perez has over it. And I'm not sure how he's managed to coerce them all into it. I know a lot of them are responsible for it, but the fact that now they just decided we don't want any part of it because of the backlash, again, should show you how important the fans are in terms of influencing things. Because and that I wouldn't expect anything less from some of these owners. You talk about Kroenke and the Glazers. They've got so much contempt for fans in general that I don't expect anything less of them to act in the way that they do. Mate,
let's be honest. If our owners were invited to this, they'd take it like that.
Well, I believe that as well. Like people are saying, people are talking like as if, I'm not saying West Ham fans or something, but again, West Ham put that statement out earlier, which I thought was probably as fair a statement as you could put out. But at the same time, we've got our issues with our owners, exactly. and they don't even really believe in what they're saying. They're no better. They're just at a lower level than the likes of Perez. They would 100% take that money if it was offered to them, and they wouldn't show any kind of remorse towards the club or the fans. And they do, and they enact that regularly. So I think you're seeing an interesting sort of approach from fans like West Ham fans and Newcastle fans that are used to being treated like this by their owners. And a lot of these clubs at these higher echelon sort of the table are now starting, actually, do you know what? We don't want this either. And they're showing and they're voting with their feet. So I've got to say, I'm not a massive fan of Chelsea, but fair play for going out there tonight and forcing them into issues.
Yeah, no, exactly. You saw that video of Petr Cech as well saying, let the players in. But these fans were revolting, saying, well, if you're going to destroy our club, what's the point? We want to make our voices heard. And fair play to Leeds United as well last night, by the way. They were the ones that driven it right from the off. As soon as that coach got in there from Liverpool, they were at the gates. The players wearing their warm-up shirts, weren't they, saying earn it with a Champions League badge on the front as well. Yeah. That's brilliant. Gets the message across. Yes, Jurgen Klopp said all his comments, and he said them about Gary Neville, because I'm sure the viewers have seen Gary Neville's comments. But why is he attacking Gary Neville for? Gary Neville's sticking up for him. That's another thing anyway. But Leeds obviously drove it last night with the Merseyside Reds as well. And I think they deserve a lot of credit. All the clubs in the Premier League, us, Leeds, Wolves as well with their tweet, Southampton with what they did today. All the clubs that have released these statements, they are unifying as one together to stop this from happening. And it shows the good side of football, mate.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's a great way to look at it, man. I'm not going to say it, Dennis, because we get demonetised. They're talking to Sky Sports are saying that a lot of these 12 clubs are meeting tonight to disband the Super League. So it does actually look like they are going to back down, that is going to be the end of it. For me, as a football fan, I want all of those clubs involved to be punished. And I know, I even think fans of those clubs want to be punished as well because of the way that they've acted.
They should be.
The intention's there. The intention's there. The only reason they haven't done it is because of the response. And I cannot believe that these owners thought they could get away with it. I just have no idea what they were thinking. And the fact that they didn't even communicate with the players, the manager, no one knew beforehand other than themselves. They concocted it in their own boardroom and then expected everyone to be all right with it. It's not how football works. You'd think as these so-called businessmen that they'd understand how business works, but it's shady. That's all it is. It's shady, and now it's being shown up. And fingers crossed by tonight we get a decision to say all these clubs have pulled out. But I do want them punished. I don't care what it is. I don't care whether it's money, points deductions, take them out of the league. They won't take them out of the league, but something. And I want to see some kind of action from the Premier League. You've got to have some kind of backbone in this situation.
You've got to pull the finger out, mate. None of this nonsense saying, oh, yeah, we'll fine you 10 million quid, because that's not enough for any of these clubs. These clubs can, spend 10 million on whatever. It's more, don't deduct them points next season. Don't deduct them 20 points next season. Do it now. Do it now. I'm not just saying that because we're in a good position. We could get Champions League football. I'm just saying it for the wider good of the Premier League. Do it now. Enforce it now. Give them a transfer embargo for 2 years. Ban them from the Europe for 2 years. Do what it takes so these owners learn the ramifications of this and really think, oh, crap, if we do this again, we're in trouble. They just think they can get away with it. Walk all over the fans. Walk all over the history of all of these clubs. And the ex-players, these legends of these clubs that you've seen today, like Phil Thompson at Liverpool, have come out and said, football's nothing without the fans. You've seen Rashford's comments. So the punishments, mate, need to be severe, as in 30 points more. If not, get them to the conference, get them to start again for me, because the Premier League will be better without them. We've learnt that. So
it won't happen. I'm not even going to get my hopes up for it.
It should, mate.
Well, to be honest, I would rather actually. I think Dennis has said it. A couple of people were talking about points and things like that. I would probably just deduct them. I would deduct them points, and like you say, if you can look into things like transfer bans. And again, we haven't even seen this. We haven't even seen this at all. We haven't seen it regarding UEFA, whether they turn around and say, we're going to put a ban on you. FIFA, what are we going to do? We don't agree with it. Jordan's saying about we want to win the league by points. Again, it's got nothing to do with us. I don't care. This is about football. It's bigger than West Ham. It's bigger than the 14 clubs. It's completely disrespectful. And I know it will hurt some of these clubs. And I know a lot of fans of these clubs don't associate with it. I completely understand that. But I think we've got to make an example. And it's not just the Premier League, who, by the way, that model of the Premier League invites people like that into the country. And that's ultimately what we've ended up with. You see with Newcastle, again, their takeover couldn't happen because the Premier League bigwigs didn't want them to come in. Those owners have a lot of power, but they want even more power. They want even more money. How much money can some of these sort of clubs have? And the reality is, hurt them where you can. Stop them from being able to achieve certain things. Pin them back where they can. Forbid them from going in for even domestic competitions. Because if Man City or Chelsea can't compete, and as piddly as they think it is in the Champions League's the Holy Grail, don't put them in the FA Cup. Don't put them in the Carabao Cup.
This is what I mean. They're on about automatic qualification to this best league in the world, where you've got to play all these elite players and elite teams. We're Arsenal at the moment. We're Spurs at the moment. Spurs sacked the manager yesterday. And by the way, Mourinho, for me, yes, they've sugarcoated it with it was results-based, which is why he was sacked. For me, there's a bit of, he rebelled. He went in there and said, this is nonsense. If you're having this, I'm going to go. Why would they sack him a few days before a cup final?
I think it's rubbish as well. I think it's
they wouldn't do it,
to be honest.
Yeah, they wouldn't do it.
Well, they wouldn't do it unless the amount of money that's involved in getting rid of Mourinho. They wouldn't have done it unless they had a windfall. I'm telling you now, like people say, they would have left him out because he lost the squad, but you wouldn't get rid of Jose Mourinho, one of the biggest, most successful managers over two. Forget what brand of football he plays. Forget the fact that he's been awful for Spurs this season. The geezer wins finals. He does. You've seen it.
Look at his season with United as well. He finished second with that team and apparently had an awful season. You know what I mean? They're second now. He's a proven successful manager, mate, and I just think that is very much sugar-coated. It was obviously at the time we thought, wow, he's walked. And for me, there is substance in that. I still think they've sugar-coated it to some extent. Yes, they've had a bad season, but they can still get Europa. They can still get Champions League mathematically.
Well, you think he left because of it?
I think this. I'm not saying. Obviously he was sacked, wasn't he? But I think there's substance, as if to say he didn't agree with it. Yeah. I do.
Well,
days before a cup final, mate, you're saying they sacked him.
I think they would. I think they would if they thought it was foolproof about that European Super League. And someone said that he only knew on the Friday
before, wasn't it? Yeah.
But they're all in on it. You're telling me Daniel Levy woke up and just went on Sunday, I can't believe Spurs have got into this European Super. Of course he didn't. So I still think it's sinister behind it. If I knew. Listen, Tottenham, you've seen what he's come out with. We're skint, we've got COVID, our gate revenue's completely, shed. All of a sudden, you've got 30 million to pay off Jose Mourinho. It just that doesn't. Exactly. And Tottenham, realistically, as bad as they've been, are still 7th in the Premier League.
That's what I'm saying.
They could still compete for Europe.
That's what I'm saying.
Even in a bad season. And if he does dodgy, he can leave at the end of the year for less. It doesn't make any sense with 7 games left to go in a cup final.
That wasn't all his squad either, was it? There's some deadwood there, like Sergio Aurier, other players that he doesn't want there, mate. So that's a good comment as well. Yeah, that's a good comment. That for me, that this will enforce that. I hope further down the line soon this is implemented into the Premier League, because you've seen these owners, they come in, they know nothing about the history of the club, come within the billions of pounds and go, this is what we want to do next. They're not proper football people. We've seen that, they've exposed themselves. So I hope this happens, that we get some of the ownership, because all clubs will be in a better position. They'll be in a better place altogether.
I just want to say Liverpool have now pulled out of the Super League. So all of these clubs now are coming out. Right. All 3 clubs. So that's a big one, obviously, because we know about John Henry. So that will absolutely fall apart now. But I tell you what, for me, it's just about punishing them. I really, really honestly believe in that. And I think long term, like Simon's talking about, the 50 plus 1 share ownership thing, I think a lot of owners now are going to be wary of fans. And I think fans now will... Listen, fans for a long period of time have been pushed to a level, paying extortionate amounts of money, season tickets, merchandise, everything like that. I think they'll suddenly start realising that they've got a bit more power than they think, because football's nothing without the fans. So exactly. Even without that 50 plus 1, which again in a commercial league like the Premier League, it would probably be tough for them to put in, because it's in their own interest to go and make money. But if the fans know they've got a bit of power behind them, then they'll react, and hopefully they do it long term. I think even you see with the Glazers, I think Man United fans will be. I know they were out for the Glazers anyway. They'll do it even more so. It's ludicrous, ludicrous couple of days.
Well, I hope the protests, mate, that are happening at these respective clubs, I hope they continue for the next few weeks. I hope they make them presence known, because the fact of the matter is, mate, that like we've heard Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher say, all these pundits, Ian Wright as well, Alan Shearer, that we working class people, they earn their money to watch their clubs week in, week out. Personally, I've been a season ticket holder since ages. But I live in Leeds. I travel down from Leeds to London every week, home and away. And the fact that Perez is coming out and saying we don't have an interest in football, football's losing fans.
Yeah,
it's not. It's not.
The geezer's out of touch. And to be honest, once this is all over, let's get rid of Florentino Perez out of football. To be honest, I don't know how you're going to do it with a geezer like that, but I mean, he's vermin, mate. He's dangerous. He's dangerous in the game. I mean, it's dangerous that people like that are even agreeing stuff. Those kind of schemes. It ruins football. I'm seeing loads of stuff. Sorry, mate, about Man United pulling out. I don't know what the situation is. I guess we won't really know until the next couple of hours, or even on Friday. But they've all panicked. They've all panicked. So
this is what you said. This is what you said the other day to me when we were discussing it. You said they'll all come crawling back once there's a massive backlash and they realise the animosity between themselves and their fans, which is the biggest relationship. They'll come crawling back, begging on their knees, saying, "Oh no, in fact, we want to stay now." Mm-hmm. And that's what they've done. It's just about the punishments now. It's about being severe. It's not about being being lenient, because they've pulled out and they've realised the good in it, and they've held themselves responsible. It's about making sure they won't do it again and that they are punished severely. So because let's face it, the last few days of football, it's been on the edge, mate. It's been.
Yeah, well, the whole integrity of the sport is in balance, isn't it? And even with me watching Leeds last night, nothing. And that was a good point for West Ham, to be honest. Liverpool dropping points like that. And even then, I was like, does our game matter? Does anything matter? What's up? And what I hate about it as well, the fact they've done it through a season. I mean, imagine doing it through literally at the final stages of a season. West Ham getting ready and players going into training thinking, are we gonna do this? Can I even play in the Euros? Like, even just that kind of nature of things shows you they're just so different. These clubs, or the way they run these clubs, these American owners, they're so detached from the whole hierarchy beneath it, to the point where Jurgen Klopp, probably the most influential guy in Liverpool, right? They herald him as this great manager. He didn't have a clue. He didn't have a clue about it. And they threw him under the bus. They threw him out in front of Sky Sports and went, go on, react to it. And he didn't know what to say. Pep, fair play to him, had some serious bottle today. And I give that guy a lot of credit, because at times I'm not really a massive fan of his, but he stood up and was counted for. And it's great to see likes of Marcus Rashford, Luke Shaw, Jordan Henderson trying to organise a meeting tomorrow. Whether or not that means anything now is irrelevant. And that's the best thing from this whole episode, is seeing a lot of the football fans and players and managers get together and say, that's enough. This is our game. It's not yours. And let's not make this happen again. And the only way to do that is by punishing them.
Yep. That's what Carragher said as well, wasn't it? He said that Klopp is the greatest manager. Liverpool respect their great managers over the years. And the fact that they've thrown him under the bus, if Klopp was to walk and leave that club, then fans would have them owners out, they'd drive them out of the club within a week. And that's true. But that's true within any club. Look at Pep thrown under the bus, was honest today. He's a pure footballing man, always has been, and he was honest. And he said, "Listen, this is rubbish." So I think, like you said, the stance on it for everyone coming together and unified, I think is refreshing to see. But I did expect it at the same time. I didn't expect these players to back it because they didn't know anything about it. So,
sorry, John went like it. Gets in the Champions League and football nearly ends. Yeah, that's what I was panicking for, mate. I wanted all the credit if we did manage to pull it off. And what Darren says as well, and you can't really underestimate this, it's made UEFA look like saints. UEFA aren't no saints in it either. We all know FIFA aren't. The whole football pyramid, the whole hierarchy is shady as the Premier League in general. It's not a picture of health and morality. It doesn't. There's so many components now in football, particularly because it's got mixed with business, that just are so shady. And it irks me, mate, because these owners aren't going anywhere. They don't care what anybody says. Abramovich agreed to it. Sheikh Mansour agreed to it. They're still in football. The Glazers definitely spearheaded it. Kroenke spearheaded it. As fans, I think fans of those clubs that joined it have got a responsibility to do something about them. I'm deadly, in the same way that we've got a responsibility to protest against GSP, they have to sit there and say, that's enough. Because even if they back down from it, who's to say they won't try and formulate it in the future? This is it could have been a power grab. They may have known this may not have happened, but I don't agree with it. They just showed all their cards at the same time to the point where the whole football world just stopped and went, hang on a minute, I don't think you can quite do that. So they've got the potential to do it again. Money talks. So I don't even know if the Premier League it shouldn't even just be from the Premier League. And I'm not backing UEFA or FIFA here. They should be punishing them as well. These European, international competitions and associations should be saying, that's enough. You can't operate like this. You can't do this. There's got to be a rule set, mate, because we have to protect football long term. Either give it back to the fans or give it to trusts that can look after this. But some of these owners, they just don't belong in football.
No, spot on, mate. For me, as well as the cheek of what's his name, Perez the Vermin, whatever, Lord Voldemort will call him. He said he's got the cheek to organise this competition for God knows how many months and say football's losing money. Every business that I can think of has lost money in this pandemic, mate. People are dying in this pandemic. Do you know what I mean? From COVID, and he's got the cheek to organise this competition to net clubs a few billion quid each. Is ludicrous and selfish. There's bigger things in life, and for me, it's not. This was sadly inevitable, though, in football. How money driven it is, it was. But the fans now, like you said, should drive these owners out, like we are doing with GSP. Drive them all out, and this for me will be a turning point in the game. Hopefully, in the fact that money's not everything. Money's not everything in life. It's not everything in football. As long as there's passion there, like there was in the past. He even put transfer, caps on all the clubs because it's the fans that make the game, mate. It's not money. But this was sadly inevitable.
Yeah, I'm just looking at social media now. Everyone's saying exactly the same from all different clubs. Punish them. Fans of the Arsenal, Kroenke out, things like that. The Glazers out. I mean, it's because people get lulled into it. I think we've been almost sleepwalking into this type of football for years now without. Yeah. And again, it's not just, I'm not digging everyone out because again, we're just supporting our club and we're going along with it. And the Premier League is what it is. But when you actually sit back, particularly in these past couple of days, and everyone sat there and thought, "Oh, you cannot believe how corrupt this is." Like you see it, but you cannot believe how contrived it can be. Some of these owners of the clubs that they say it's all right, we're Man United. I'm not digging out Man United because I know their fans have got serious issues with them, but other clubs as well saying, "Oh, we're all right with our owners because they're backing us." Do you back them now? Like even the likes of Sheikh Mansour that's done amazing for Manchester City. He's built up the city. He's done this, that, and the other. Can you trust him? That's what I'm saying. I'm
very surprised though by City and him actually because, like you said, the community, the work he's done, the housing he's built. Everything on that community that he's had on the other side of Manchester has been fantastic. The City group as well, the relationships they have with New York and other countries, and it's fantastic. But I'm very shocked by City out of them clubs, to be honest, that they join this to start with. I am, and that'll make apparently City fans yesterday tore up the memberships as well, and that was a turning point as to why they backed down. And same with other clubs. So for me. Yeah, I'm shocked at the most that City decided to go through without signing the contract as well.
Yeah, I thought that was really, really odd. Like their whole ethos. I thought even take the ethos out of it, mate. They're bankrolled. They don't need 300 mil a year. It's greedy and it's horrific. I'm just happy. I think because it goes to show you that the fans have got power, and it kind of feels like because listen, West Ham are a big club, but you talk about Man United, you're talking about one of the biggest clubs in the world. Like, for you to sit there and say, that's enough, we're not doing it, and them to react like that. And again, it could be the fans, it could be the players. We don't know what the players have said behind closed doors. I'm sure they've gone mental at them, to be fair, and said that I don't think we're not gonna do that. We don't agree to that. That's not because it's the game that they're playing as well. I just cannot believe the gall of them. I really, really can't. Darren says that they'll talk about involving UEFA and FIFA next time, and that if they want reform in UEFA, okay. But don't let UEFA off the hook. They wanted to have elite clubs in that competition in the Champions League every season. Exactly. So they're not scot-free. None of these people are squeaky clean. They're all in on it.
Look how UEFA deal with racism and other matters as well. Pathetic, mate. They don't even respond.
They're embarrassing.
They don't even respond to them. And then once they're under threat massively, they go, oh yeah, money will respond because it's us that's impacting it. If racism doesn't necessarily impact them, does it? So they don't respond. But racism is a massive matter in society and football. It's huge, but they're not bothering with it. So they're no saints either. But like Simon alluded to earlier in the comments about like 50+1 share on ownership, that's why for me this will become prevalent in the future, because these fans, like you said, they're the driving force of football, and having this share in these clubs will make it much more easier in the future, because these owners that have come in, some of them aren't even football fans, mate. I think one of them didn't even know what the offside rule was until a few years ago. Do you know what I mean? So they've just come in, seen it as a project, seen it as a way to get profit, as in this competition, and go from there. But hopefully, like Simon alluded to, we see this implemented soon, where the fans can have a bigger stake in their respective clubs and go forward, because it'll be healthier for sport and football in general.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm just trying to look through social media just to understand what's going on. I mean, you're seeing conflicting reports about people either pulling out. Sky, Carve Solokor has said that Arsenal, Liverpool, Man United reportedly have the intention of staying, which again is no surprise because of the nature of their owners. And Darren says here, talking about the American owners aren't going to leave, and the fact that they don't care about a bit of bad press. And to be fair, Sky did report actually that was the case. Liverpool's owner doesn't even follow them on Twitter. I just hate the way that the game's going. We've been saying this for ages. GSB is the best example of that. And I thought with all due respect, the cheek of them to come out and start talking about the history of West Ham when they took us away from Upton Park for nothing. Again, and that's,
if I speak, honestly.
But that's embedded in what these American owners are doing, because I think someone pulled up something a couple of months ago talking about you could have no stadiums, you could have stadiums without fans in, and you still have X amount of money. Because the fans now aren't a financial commodity, they don't add anything. These owners think we'll just take it away and create a franchise, or we'll do something else with the model. Yeah. And that's
they realise they don't need fans. They realise they don't need fans.
But then again, if no one turns up, can a football club survive? If no one watches, can it survive? It can't really, and it's all dependent on the TV rights. The way that it's regulated is horrific, and we've got to see some serious change. But the Premier League are the first one, by the way. They're the first one. They've got to come out and put their foot down.
That triggers me, mate, as well. It's daft, but Americans call it soccer as well, and they're trying to ruin football. You know what I mean? But no, they are relentless. Darren's right. They are absolutely relentless. They don't care about a bit of backlash, a bit of bad press, a bit of animosity. They want money, mate. They don't care, honestly. It is a massive, warning sign. Alarm bells are ringing in the future for football and sport in general, because this won't be the last we hear of it. They'll aim to do it again.
And I think that's why you need reform as well. You can't just go out there and allow, even with sanctioning, okay, does it change? May it change it not coming back in the future? I don't know, because these people are crafty, they know how to get around the system. They know the loopholes in it. They come out with a new Super League and believed legally that they could pull it off. So they can work behind the scenes. There's that to a degree isn't illegal or against the rules, but the Premier League have got to give fan power back, I think, or fans have actually got to actively go against this type of ownership. And I think this will start a trend, by the way. I think you'll see Arsenal fans be a little bit more vicious in their disgust for the owner, because the Kroenke guy is 100% up there. And even Liverpool, and I think this is the thing, Liverpool fans, I mean, they're so loyal and passionate. You look at someone like John Henry, who arguably has given them Jurgen Champions League, they won the Premier League, it improved the stadium. They need to get him out. He's a problem. He's an issue, because that's not their club. They've realised that he's not with them. And when you've got that disconnect and that trust is broken, you can't go back. You can't repair it like that.
No, exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's the same with anything, innit? Once that trust is broken, mate, it doesn't go back, does it? Trust is the most important thing in your sport, in life in general. So, so yeah, it's spot on.
Liverpool fan in here. Happy that this is happening. However, the clubs need to be, and Liverpool fan, we won't let us absolutely joke. But yeah, and you shouldn't do, mate, either. Like, I think that's really, really important. And again, it's fan power is the game. It's true. It really is true. I think if you look, it's not the same, but with us, when we protested against Burnley, it's not been ideal, and it still isn't ideal, and they still need to go. But you still forced them into a move. These people aren't infallible. They can sit there behind closed doors, but you hurt them in their pockets, then they won't be able to deal with it. And I think it'd be great to see, I think, from some of these top clubs and these fans of these top clubs going out there and changing the dynamic, because as football as a whole, it's so important. And it's a shame that it's got to this point, but
they have to, mate.
What do you reckon happens to Perez now? I know he's still president of Madrid, but I mean, it's all falling apart around him. So what does he do?
I wouldn't like to be him right now, but he'll probably be relentless, mate, in what he does. Obviously, he looks like a bit of a mug now because he made them comments last night, criticising football fans, basically saying we don't need you, saying this competition will go ahead, whatever happens, nothing can stop us. We're relentless.
Also, sorry to interrupt, mate. I just realised they've all left the ECA, so they can't be in UEFA. So they've all left. So what are they going to do? So UEFA have now got the platform to sit there and go, well, we can fine you, or we can stop you from entering a competition. What if they turn around and say you can't come? You thought you were going to get a better deal in the Super League than the Champions League. Fine, you can't. You can't. I suppose the problem with these clubs, though, they know, and this is where it's gone wrong. They know that they are attractive as part of the Champions League, and that's what's changed it. So sorry to say, I think the reason many people backing out is still under the clubs. Well, we don't know yet. We don't know. Again, it's because I feel like it's the fans. We'll find out. We'll find out, won't we? We'll find out what UEFA say. If UEFA let them straight back in, or are really lenient on them, then we'll know.
Their president won't be lenient with them. Did you see what he said the other day with his comments? He was brutal, mate.
Yeah, you've got to sack a load of people in there. You've got to change it. We're talking fundamental.
Don't let them in for a year. Reform. Give PSG the Champions League this year.
I would definitely kick out Chelsea and Man City.
Honestly, if they win it's an absolute joke, mate. If one of them teams win it, which is more than likely as well. If one of them teams win it, it's an absolute disaster and a joke, and there'll be a lot of hate towards that team. I think they should be chucked out. I think give PSG the trophy because they rejected it. Them, Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund, Leipzig as well are in there. I think a few other teams have rejected it. Fair play, honestly, fair play to them. Because Bayern could have easily turned around and said, listen, our league's not good enough. Like Perez said, what did he say? Barcelona, Real Madrid's league, it's too boring now because they're just walking it. Hang on a minute, Atletico are top.
Well, they got a problem. They're all in debt. That was what they were banking on.
Well, Barca, to be honest, mate, they're shit. I can't say that. They're in shambles, mate, financially.
With respect, Daniel Levy's in X amount of debt for that stadium. What's he going to do? Is he just going to stick it out? I mean, can they just not... Even if you've got 4 or 5, do they just stick with it? Does it become untenable? I don't know. The problem is with this is it's completely brand new. No one's actually ever sat there and said we're going to do our own thing ever and use the people at the top table, and that's where football's come. And I'm sure even with this, there'll be a power grab in 2-3 years' time. Yeah. So it's important. A lot of these authorities and associations remember this.
Yeah,
and deal with it. But I will say as well, I'm not backing UEFA by any stretch of the imagination. It's a horrible situation for fans to be in. West Ham aren't even involved technically in a Champions League yet, or even a European competition. I'm still disgusted by the fact that UEFA are coming out, and even with their new tournament, it's all about money again. Jurgen Klopp last night, they just want more competitions for more money. Again, how much money do these people need? You cannot affect the integrity of the sport. You really can't.
This decision from UEFA in terms of how they punish these clubs will define them. It's massive for them, what they do. Like Will's alluded to there, they can't be lenient. They need to show some balls, mate, and they need to severely punish these clubs. Because if they don't, and if they fine them, like I said earlier, if they fine them like, 50 million quid each, it's nothing to them, is it? Really, in hindsight, once they get the funds back, once they sell the merchandise, get the ticket revenues in, get the reward prize money for this season, they'll earn it back in a week. Do you know what I mean? So for me, the punishments, I would love them to be severe. They need to be severe for football's sake, for the fans, for everyone. So it doesn't happen again, and they can't take advantage. Because if you don't, they'll just take advantage again. They'll take the mick. They'll take the Michael. So
Yeah, and it has to come. It has to be a bit of a uniform approach, doesn't it? I mean, that's, again, are you just saying for the Premier League, throw the book at them, throw everything you can at them, including possible expulsion from certain competitions?
If it was me, I'd knock them down to the conference, start again, learn it the hard way. But they won't do that, obviously. But they need to throw the book at them. Yeah, for me.
See, they could be in a dodgy situation because I'll tell you what, they've tried to get a bit of money and they could be seriously impacted if they can't compete. And so I honestly hope UEFA really say you can't come into the competition. But the problem we're dealing with is it's a demand market, and those clubs knew that they were massive players in the Champions League. That's why they did it. Are the Champions League going to turn around and say no? But then I think this has shown that possibly there's a bit more to football than just money. Do you know what I mean? Unless
definitely,
unless they pay them off, they are corrupt. So you don't know.
What do you think of Sky in this, mate? Because I've seen a lot of comments say, the lack of interest in football nowadays. Sky have driven it with they wanted to charge £15 a game during lockdown for what the likes of Burnley versus West Brom.
The game's rotten, mate. The game's rotten. The whole thing. It stinks.
Do you think they're driving that as well? Because they've put a statement out saying, "Oh, we've not supported this," but they have though, because they've driven this money-orientated side of the game with extortionate ticket prices. So for me, they have some involvement.
Yeah, no, they've completely contributed to it. People forget that. Well, they don't forget, but I mean, me and you're a bit younger, but the Premier League obviously come in '92, and they revolutionised the way that football is and the money and the commercialism behind it. And I completely agree with you. They've created this model, but not only have they created this model based on things like you're saying, subscription prices, changing kickoff times as well to affect fans, things that aren't very fan-friendly and inclusive.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about just basic ownerships. They have completely and utterly fallen on their sword regarding morality or proper person checks for some of these owners to come in. There's no background check behind Joe Glazer. The geezer went and bought £400 million worth.
400 million quid, wasn't it? Yeah.
To go and buy Man United. How are you allowed to do that? And the reason why they turn the other way is because they knew the money it would bring into the Premier League. That's disgusting. Do you know what I mean? I hate it. They bill it on the Premier League, the best league in the world. It's the most corrupt league in the world. It's full of they're criminals. They're football criminals. Some of these people at the top.
Yeah. And if that's true, what Anthony's alluding to as well, that shows the Premier League up, doesn't it? If it was driven by the Prem clubs for this £15 a game. Yeah,
and look, this is the thing with Dennis is bang on. That's the problem. That's the issue. We realise that they've created this product that they can't. And listen, as a fan, if these clubs went off to the Super Club, I'd be sitting there going, let them go. We'll have our own league. We'll keep the integrity of the sport. We'll stay up there and we'll be fine. But the truth is that someone's going to have to back down. Who it is, do you know what I mean? Whether it's UEFA, FIFA, the Premier League, someone's going to have to back down because they know that they've got a pull on it.
Yeah.
That's why I don't think they'll relegate them. And I never thought they would relegate them anyway because it would be a step too far for them. But I think they've got to deduct some points. They've got to make it almost impossible.
They've got to give them transfer embargoes for 2 years. Knock them out Europe. Do whatever it takes. They won't relegate, no, because Dennis is right about the TV deals. Yeah. If that happens and all 6 get relegated, what's Sky going to think? Sky won't let that happen for one. No, neither will BT. So yeah.
Barca, Athletic, yeah. Pay-per-view games, yeah. And Dale, the thing is, no one is absolved of, no one's guilt-free. Like, they're all in on it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It works at a micro level, if we're talking about the whole thing that's happened with the Super League in terms of Mike Ashley, GSB, players like that. Then it goes to the next level with the Premier League. The difference is we're seeing it on such a huge scale that a lot of massive European giants, biggest clubs in the world, they're acting like... The greed stuns me, to be fair.
What happens though, mate? What happens though? Sorry, mate. What happens if, obviously, United, City, and Liverpool have left? So Arsenal and Spurs are still in there. What happens if they stay in there? This competition commences as planned. What's going to happen to Arsenal and Spurs then? Do you know what I mean? I can't see it happening. But what if it does?
Ed Woodward has resigned as chairman of Manchester United.
What?
That's huge.
Who from though? Who's saying that?
Talk Sport. That's massive.
Has he?
Yeah. Yeah. Hang on. Yeah, Edward resigned. Yeah, it's all over. Good riddance. Get him out. He's scum, mate.
Ed Woodward. Well, they've wanted him gone for ages, haven't they?
Well, yeah, exactly. Then I tell you what they need to do. Then get rid of the Glazers and all. They might walk.
It's
Well, they
come
won't
after
walk.
the backlash of the European Super League. So exactly, yeah, exactly. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens with the Glazers at Arsenal as well.
Let them go. Get rid of them. Get them out of the league.
Not Glazers at Arsenal. What am I on about? Sorry, mate.
It's all right, mate. Let's have a look. Ed Woodward's gone. I expect Kroenke maybe, John Henry possibly. I mean, Ed Woodward is slightly different. I'm not expecting some of those owners to go because he is essentially just the chairman of Manchester United. You know, the Glazers can really, really do what they want. Deduct some 30 points. Yeah, I've seen fans of these clubs saying just throw the book at us. Throw the book at us. Because it's
we could win the league next season. They're deducted 30 points and we get off to a flyer. Craig Dawson's going to lift that Premier League.
I would say, and I mean this, particularly, forget what happens next season, right? Because I think there's an argument for whatever, right? Get them out of the Champions League. Give it a PSG. Get Manchester United. Get Arsenal out of the Europa League. Get them out there. Don't let them compete. You know what I mean? You're going to perform.
Don't let them compete next season either. Don't let them compete in that.
They won't, unfortunately. I mean, I don't know what they've got to do to...
Why though?
Money. That's all it's come down to. They're not going to bite their own nose off to spite their face. They will not do it. That's the problem. That's the problem we've got. I don't know. There's no real solution to it. The only thing that's been suggested is the 50+1 across the board because it gives you some kind of fan involvement and rationale behind it. As long as some of these owners are kicking around, as long as you can keep pumping money into the game and allowing whoever to walk in, you'll always have a situation like this. Sky, you bang on earlier, mate. Sky and BT have created this kind of beast.
They have. They've created this animal because they always bang on every week about the Big Six and they always televise the games. They always move games, like you said before, to accompany these top six games. They're full of it as well. They've contributed massively to this.
That's huge, That's huge, Ed Woodward to leave.
Yeah, no, it is. I think that was on the back burner though anyway. I think he was under a lot of pressure in general for the last couple of years, ever since Fergie left.
But apparently, like he's been in the Glazers' pocket he brought him into the club. He brokered the deal.
Well,
that's a big one and all. Because if he brokered the deal to get him into Manchester United, what are they going to do? Are they going to sell it? Can we trust anyone anymore? Can we trust anyone to take over any of these clubs? Do you know what I mean? It's so ridiculous. Like I think and that's the problem with us football fans. Like it's not our fault, but because we're at such a micro level of football, we just assume that everything will just keep going. You go into the Champions League, you forget people are rule makers. They can do what the hell they like. Money talks, and now people are gone. Oh, no, we don't want that. And hopefully, that's a common trend. The minute we get back in that stadium, mate, there's protests against GSB, and that's exactly what people that are really dissatisfied with their club owners need to do, and with the Premier League and all. I think don't let up. Don't get complacent because they'll take the mick and they've been doing it for nearly 20, 30 years now.
Yeah, they're just as bad as anyone else, to be honest, mate. But I think, I can't remember what I was going to say, to be honest. What was I going to say?
You got time.
Pass me the cheese. What was I going to say? Can't remember, mate.
See, look, even stuff like this, though, like Carve says, Chelsea made a last-minute decision to join last week. Am I supposed to feel sorry for them? They regret it, and it's
but what's last minute though? Because this would have been happening for weeks. Abramovich would have been having these discussions for months, even possibly years, mate. Because this was rumoured to be happening in 2018, wasn't it? So it's not like he's a stranger to it and thought last minute, oh, you know what, going to sign it instead. I'll sign it instead.
That's what I'm saying. Like people going on with it, they wouldn't have known about it. Well, of course they would have known about it. That would have been in the works for years. That has been in the works for like 5 years. You didn't just walk into it. Do you know what I mean? It's not. It's a job.
I guarantee you, mate, all these clubs, including us, all these clubs would rather go back, rewind 20 years to football, how it was, without all this money, without all this corporate, everything that's going on. They'd want that back. They'd move to that again. They'd have this back now. 20 years ago, instead of get all this money out of the club, get everything out of the Premier League, because it's taking over football and it will take over sport eventually.
Yeah, there has to be a balance, doesn't there? It really does. And people like Ed Woodward, who's got nothing to do with football, hasn't got a clue about football, doesn't understand the principles about it, is someone that you don't want in the game. And I'm actually, again, rivalries aside and things like that, I'm happy for him they got rid of him. He's been a nightmare for years. He's dragged that club down to whatever level when it should really be competing at the top table.
Yeah,
and that's the problem. The Arsenal fans got to get Kroenke out, And it was good to see even with someone like Chelsea fans, because Chelsea fans, fair play to them going out there tonight. Because the thing is, they're sitting there because it is easy to be interpreted as saying you're being unreasonable, you're blaming it on the players, but they made a fuss because they knew that it would get traction, and building it and make sure the players know. And
that's probably a major factor. They've seen that and they thought, this isn't sustainable. They keep doing this.
They back Roman Abramovich. He's brought them. He's basically brought them success. They were a relatively successful club before, but definitely nowhere near the level that they are now. For them to go, do you know what, Roman, you're in the wrong, mate. We're not watching it. That's again, there's things there to be said.
There was a telling picture on Twitter the other day I saw that said, "Don't forget where he came from, Chelsea," and it was a picture of their old ground, Stamford Bridge, saying, "Please save Chelsea Football Club," with a sign outside it.
Yeah,
and don't forget where he came from. That's all. And what does this message send as well, mate? To the apparently they're going to be banned from. Well, it might not even happen anymore, but they were going to be banned from international tournament. What does this say to young aspiring players who want to break into this team and they see this at the top? Do you know what I mean?
Breaking all Premier League clubs apparently have now left the Super League. Been reported across quite a fair few outlets as well. We won't know really officially, let's be honest, for a fair while, but it's really, really good to see. Fair play. And he's talking about, the irony of other fans, giving a stick about GSB. That's the thing, innit? We know what it is. We know what it's like. I wouldn't be surprised if we ever got that opportunity. The GSB would have sold us right down the river. Yeah.
It's disrespectful though as well, mate, to other clubs like other clubs connected with Wigan Athletic. Wigan Athletic we're going to be sold down the river. They were in administration for months and they are desperate. Staff, players, everyone desperate just to get a bit of money, bit of backing. They've got it now, thankfully, and they're winning tonight, which is good. But it's just disrespectful to all these lower league clubs, mate, as well. The whole football pyramid. Football fans won't forget this of any war. From every angle, they will not forget this.
But it's mad important that they go out there and they throw the book at them. Absolutely everything at them.
Yeah, it'll be bedlam, mate. Once fans are allowed back in grounds, it'll be bedlam everywhere. Especially them top six clubs.
This is an interesting point, though. Abramovich loves the clubs, but they say he signed up for it. He signed up for it. I don't care what anybody says. He signed up for it. Sheikh Mansour signed up for it.
Yeah,
they've backed down because of the fans.
They're showing the true colours, aren't they? They're showing the true colours. Yes, they've done all this. They love the clubs, but they've backed away from the fans and they've cheated behind the backs on the fans. So you can't tell me they love the club that much through and through if they're doing that and selling them down the river.
It's the excuse, though, isn't it? Oh, yeah, we didn't want to be left behind. Well, you wanted to play. You wanted to go and play in the normal Premier League and then go and get 300 mil on the side.
Yeah, but the panic. Arsenal are knife, mate. They can't beat Fulham. They're shambles. They're awful, mate. And they want automatic qualification to this best league in the world. They're not in shambles, mate. Honestly.
Yeah, true. That's a point, though. I think about I can't remember what I was going to say now. Yeah, clubs like that flapping. Tottenham, Arsenal, West Ham disrupting the top four. Leicester doing it consistently a lot longer than we've been doing it, winning the Premier League. Things like that. They hate it. They absolutely hate it. They've been begging for it, and people forget that they were the ones out there going about, was it Project Big Picture, and they wanted the six clubs to have more power because they bring in more revenue than the others. They've wanted this for ages.
Yeah, but the managers don't, do they? The managers have said, I think Pep came out today Klopp said, West Ham being in the top four, I'd love to see it happen.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's just the pundits and Sky, they hate it. When you see them cover West Ham, they don't mention West Ham in the top four. They're like, oh, Spurs could still break in mathematically. They don't. Like you said, they hate West Ham unless they're being in there disrupting that flow of the big six. But it's good for football. It's healthy for football.
It has to be for football. That's why keep people banging on about the Premier League being the best league in the world. The reason why that's the case is because people like West Ham have managed to get themselves into the top four. Do you know what I mean? Arsenal, exactly. With all due respect, I know they're a big club, but they've been awful for like nearly a year and a half.
Ever since Wenger left, they've been awful, mate.
They haven't won a Premier League trophy since 2004. I don't think they haven't won a Champions League. So what they're doing in the European Super League, money. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. There's nothing to do with Arsenal fans per se. It's just to do with that, what they've incorporated them within.
And there's one fan as well. We won't mention his name unless you want to, but he was deflecting Arsenal's, being sold down the river and Arsenal's, problems on West Ham fans, saying, "Oh yeah, Mo Farah's won more than you in your Olympic Stadium." Well, how is that relevant? Why deflecting your problems onto us and the fact that your club are a shambles?
Yeah.
Onto other fans, onto other innocent fans. I don't get that hostility. We should all come together, unite, like the majority of us have done, the mature ones, and we've hopefully driven this vermin out of the game. So,
yeah, and the thing with him saying what he said, I mean, like at the end of the day, mate, I'm not being funny. You moan about the owners, and you're sitting there in Arsenal's 4th kit release. It's just put your money where your mouth is and stop buying it. It's ridiculous. It does my head in. It's just annoying, and it's like at a time when football fans need to come together. You want to start piping up about West Ham. Listen, at the end of the day, mate. Yeah. Although we lost you and we bottled a 3-0 lead, and we're talking in football terms, we're above you in the league. We're 4th. So
but he can't say it. He can't say his opinion. He can't say he doesn't want this Super League because he's paid to say his opinion on AFTV. Imagine if he came out with, "I don't want this." Do you know what I mean? He can't have clarity in his opinion. He can only be balanced. But it's the fact that he said this, deflecting it. It's just being petty, mate. Who cares about what we've won in our stadium? We've
it's just short-sighted, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Just come together and just get a grip, mate. Just grow up. Do you know what I mean? It's pathetic.
Yeah, that got me under the.
Juve's president has resigned now too, apparently.
But Agnelli's gone as well.
Yeah, it's all kicking off on the street.
Get him out of football, mate.
Why do you think they've done this, mate? It's all of a sudden happened very instantaneously. Do you think have they done it because of the backlash? Have they done it because something dodgy is happening underneath the surface? Why do you think they're all going? It's mad. They're all like dropping like flies.
What do you mean? Why are they leaving?
Yeah, they're all dropping like flies.
Because they can't do the plan that they were in it for.
Yeah, but they've still stuck up to this hostility from fans and all this abuse for so many years, and after this has fallen through.
But have they?
Yeah.
Have they done it to the level that they're doing it now?
No,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but they're all dropping like flies. As in, I understand it and the reasoning, but ain't something dodgy? I don't know, mate. To be honest, I just think they're all bottling it. To be honest.
Well, look, I just think it's a lot. The only thing I can compare it to is our owners, right? For when they're out there and when they're doing what they've done past summer gone, and they didn't buy anyone in, and they got rid of Grady, right? They could do it because they weren't at the ground. You've seen them anyway over the past couple of years. Slowly, they're further up away from the fans, or they don't go to the ground, or they're away from everyone and they're in their car. You never see them come out, right? The difference is now when Roman's got X amount of Chelsea fans outside saying this club's scum, this is a disgrace. And again, the fact that it's flopped so hard, and I think a lot of these people, Agnelli, Woodward, would have thought that some of these clubs have stood firm. The fact that they've now gone, actually, we don't want to be part of it. They've got to fall on their sword a bit. They've got to go, we can't do it anymore. But Agnelli's been able, like the UEFA president said, he's a snake in the grass. He's been able to hide from it for years.
Yeah, get that comment up. It's class.
Let's have a look.
JC.
The FFA. No. Yeah, we'll never know why they were there, mate, to be honest. Leeds the only team ever to get. Yeah, well done.
It's been a. He had to put that in there. He had to slip that in.
March on together. Yeah.
Yeah. To be fair though, he did us all a favour yesterday. I was buzzing. When they.
It was a bit like football versus them, lot, wasn't it?
Oh, I loved it, mate. Absolutely loved it. Yeah, it's been a mad 72 hours in football, but I'm just glad that football fans are coming together now, showing the true side of the game and driving these vermin out. It's just good to see.
Well, it'll be interesting whether they wait until the end of the year to cast any punishment, or they do it now.
They do it now, mate. What's the point in doing it a year? What's the point?
Well, I mean, at the end of the season, yeah.
No, do it now. Do it now. There's no point doing it for the beginning of next season.
Well, they might do it at the end of the they might do the end of the season and say we'll deduct you X amount of points for next season. I don't agree with it. I'd throw a book at them now. What they're waiting for.
For me, that's bottling it if they do it at the start of next season. I think they bottled it. I think they need to do it now. Set them in stone. Throw the book at them and make.
They will. I think they'll bottle it. I think they'll bottle it. Not They'll do something, but it won't be like what we want or any fan wants, or even fans of some of these clubs. There'll be, if they get off lightly, or other way round, it's that, like, look how serious this is. Ed Woodward leaves, Agnelli leaves, right? If Perez leaves, they've got to be sanctioned. They've literally got to take it on the chin and just go, shouldn't have done it, we'll never do it again. And then they've got to put things in place to stop it from happening.
Yeah.
Was it Sky Sports, mate?
It was just about Ed Woodward. That's it.
I'm just happy to have football back. If I'm maybe a bit too premature, because obviously we don't know what's going on. But you'd imagine that. I mean, if Ed Woodward's left, things falling apart.
Yeah, you'd imagine so. You imagine that, Perez looks like a mug now as well, saying yesterday, no one can stop us. We'll create our own World Cup. We'll be the driving force. Nothing will stop us. But what's happening now? Sorry, mate.
Just having a look through, mate, to be fair. See if anything comes up. And
James, it's true. It's true, though, isn't it? Like, you've got to be ruthless. You've got to hand these punishments out and make these clubs learn. I'm just passionate about the game, to be honest, like you are. And, these clubs need to learn. You can't let them off, for me. Because if you let them off, take advantage. It's the same with anything. You can't let these clubs off lightly. I'd
ban them from Europe, by the way, Dale. I would ban them. I would literally say you can't play in Europe for a year or whatever. But that comes down to UEFA. They got to buck their ideas up. Do you know what I mean? And I think if they're going to look really silly, some of these people, if they don't follow through with their threats, because again, the intention's still there. They said, and we all saw it, they go through with their intention, or they've got an agreement with the Super League, then they're going to have to be punished. So that's happened. So do it. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, they would never have been able. I'm telling you, they would have got rid of them out of the league. They would never have kept them. The integrity of the league would be dead. You can't have them in a league where you're getting £300 million on the side. It don't work like that. Do you know what I mean? If I was West Ham, and as much as I would love West Ham to compete at the top table, right? If I was getting 300 mil on the side to go in the Super League, you kill football. Is it worth it? Is that what I want? No, I don't want it.
If West Ham join the Super League, mate, I wouldn't support them again.
No, I'd have to. Yeah,
I'd step down, mate. As much as it killed me, I would never support this club again if it did that.
Yeah. James says I totally agree with you. Again, mate, this is going to be an interesting couple of days regarding points reduction. Yeah.
It's got to be. That's the most common sense thing to do, is to give them a points deduction. That's what they'll first do. But whether that's enough just on its own, or whether they go further, who knows? But there'll be massive discussions over the next few days, and there's big pressure on these organisations to get them right and to get them spot on. So
Chelsea are playing in 4 minutes. Wonder how their players feel after all of this. Must be weird.
Probably affect them, won't it, to be honest?
Well, I think, again, irrespective, the cloud looms over a lot of these clubs regarding what the hell the Premier League is going to do about it, because they're definitely going to do something. And a lot of these clubs will want to know their fate. And I think a lot, was it UEFA said they'll say something on Friday. Yeah. Prem will probably do very, very similar.
Very similar, yeah. They'll be on the edge, won't they? They'll be absolutely on the edge about it.
And that's interesting what you said, don't wait about. Maybe they can't afford to wait about because of the enormity of this season and how tight the margins are. We've never had a top four wrapped up, have we? Let's be honest. Well, we kind of have, maybe 10, 15 years ago. Yeah. It's on a knife edge. Anything can happen. So why don't you just go in there, fine them, ban them, do whatever you need to do, and then people know where they stand for next season because it's going to affect people in the next couple of games.
That comment, Jamie, we kick them out. We give PSG the Champions League.
No, I would kick Chelsea, Madrid, and City out. They've got to go.
That'd be very unfair. That'd be very unfair for one of them, wouldn't it? That'd be injustice to football. I wouldn't.
What's this? Sorry, would you pull out Chelsea and Real out of the Champions just to see justice done? Of course. Points deduction, no Europe. UEFA might throw something like that.
No Europe for 2 years.
Do you remember when, I don't know if it was Serie A or it was UEFA. Remember when Juventus got absolutely taken to the cleaners and they got put in was it like Division 3 or 2 of Italy?
They put in Serie B, didn't they?
Yeah, and they had to build up again.
And they had to work up again, yeah. And don't forget as well, all these clubs, Man City before their ownership, they were poor team, weren't great, mid-table obscurity, that kind of thing. Like was a few years ago, just putting that in there.
Not anymore, mate.
You know, man. Yeah, exactly. You know, all these clubs, Juventus as well. They've all come from. They've all had to work their way up. You know, without all this investment, mate.
Juve
Do you know what
disappoints
I mean?
me. I mean,
Juve, very disappointing. Yeah.
Italian clubs very disappointing. Their fans must be livid. They must be absolutely raging.
Yeah, they'll be
fans.
fuming. Yeah.
Barcelona, what's their slogan? More than a club.
Something like that. You imagine if it happened to Bayern and Dortmund. Imagine if it happened to them. Dortmund would go mad because fans are the biggest thing in German football.
So they've come off better than everyone, mate, because they've shown the integrity of their league and their clubs. And Bayern would have loved a big fat payout, I'm sure, of 300 mil a year, but not worth it for them. They've said that before. The chief executive or whoever said about we could charge people X amount of money, but we only gain an extra few quid out of it. What's the point? It's disgusting. It's disgusting. These clubs should be ashamed of themselves.
They should be.
And I hope Edward Wood and Agnelli and all these people going. Kroenke goes. A couple of the others. Again, it's weird with Abramovich and Sheikh Mansour, isn't it? I'm still not giving them any leniency, but at the same time,
not at all. Not at all. No, not at all. They're showing the true colours for me.
Yeah, they have. Yeah. And
do what they did to Juventus, though. Relegate them. They won't, but do it. That's what I'd do.
Maybe they might. For a year. Maybe just one league down.
Who is it? Get Leeds. Who else is it in the Champions League? It'll be Leeds, us, Leicester. Get them in the Champions League. Freshen it up.
Well, why not?
The fans of City, Arsenal, United, they'll still support the club.
Yeah, a lot of people saying that Super League's actually ironically saved football because the fans have got together. Madrid now on the verge of leaving Super League. Florentino Perez is the pressure on him to resign. That might be the biggest fall from grace in history, wouldn't it? Saying what he said yesterday and being out of a job today.
Oh, don't eat your words up, mate. Honestly. And he has done. He'll regret that, won't he?
Well, got enough money and he wanted more, unfortunately.
His comments yesterday were an insult to football.
Criminal, wasn't it? Yeah.
Absolute insult to football. I was seething, mate. Honestly.
Someone said it's like Return of the Jedi. It's like, geez, man. I'm buzzing for football to get back. I think it's been a real sad couple of days. Even thinking about doing content and not really being bothered about it, to be honest. Even thinking about West Ham, what do we do? Where are we going? And we're not even involved in it. Can you imagine being involved in that kind of thing in your club, going through with it? You'd be ashamed. You'd be ashamed to support them. And again, they've protested against them. And, some of them, particularly with Roman, look what he's done for him. Don't care. You go across the line.
Yeah, all these loyal fans as well. What was it? Some Liverpool season ticket holder for 20 years. Just cut a season ticket in half the other day because of this. It's upset fans, mate. So,
yeah, line too far, isn't it? Line too far.
Yeah.
Let's have a look through before we wrap up. Everyone's buzzing, to be fair. Getting rid of him means we can concentrate on the big game, mate. It's interesting, isn't it? How will it impact West Ham? Could still impact us. You don't know. Cheers from Brazil. Hope we beat Chelsea on Saturday. Yeah, I'd love to, mate. I really, really would. And I think that's going to be an interesting game from what's looming over everybody. I mean, it's going to be a real tough game, by the way. It's nice to not talk about football politics and actually talk about players and getting involved with that side of things because, listen, Chelsea might be one of the toughest games we play all season. You see what they did to Manchester City. There's no walk in the park. And we've got a lot of significant injuries, as we touched on before. I think Declan might be back for Burnley.
He won't make Chelsea.
I think Mickey might be back for Everton. So there's opportunities to get players back in before the end of the season, Cress. But to have as limited amount of players as we do coming into a game like Chelsea is a real problem, is a real issue. But again, can you write off West Ham this season from what we've done? Again, it's almost like impossible to watch, but then Moisey or the players or Lingard will come out with something that we haven't seen, a moment of magic, and then all of a sudden you throw yourself back in the race. But I think if West Ham did want top four, which let's just assume that we are still in around there, we are still in top four technically while the game goes on, you've got to go and win it. You've got to go and pull something off that no one expects.
Yeah, I just think Chelsea different gravy at the moment. Probably one of the best teams in the league on current form. So be very difficult. But like you said, West Ham, keep turning up this season, keep proving us all wrong, keep staying up there. So, like I've said all season, don't write us off, no matter what game it is, and we'll be up for it, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, we'll be up for it, man. It'll be a big game. I'm sure the players will be behind it. Still, do you know what? I completely forgot about that Newcastle game. For everyone watching, I actually did a video breaking down the Newcastle game and my issues with it. But because of this, it just didn't feel right to put it out. I might put it out tomorrow morning if you're interested. And then obviously we're going to do a bit of content on Thursday for the pre-match chat. And then you get your normal my team against Chelsea and things like that. But again, it's just been sidelined, mate. It's really annoying. I love my football, man, and it's just like when you can't enjoy it anymore. It just
I was back in the street to play Chelsea. To be honest, I was like, don't play them then. They're not bothered because it's a friendly for them, innit? Like Liverpool last night was a friendly for them against Leeds. Don't bother playing them. If they don't want to be in this competition, don't play them. But
dig them out.
We'll batter them now. So.
What, 3-0, you reckon? Easy.
Oh, they're a very, very good team. As you saw the other day against City, more than matched them. So,
yeah, freakily good, aren't they?
Yeah, they are at the moment. But the wheels will come off at some stage. Every club has a bad run of form, and the wheels will come off like they did with Guardiola and Klopp. So,
well, look, I mean, they didn't bottle it against West Brom. That's a horrible turn of phrase, but they got a man sent off, and West Brom exploited them, and anything can happen. Do you know what I mean, mate? Any moment of madness, and they're so good at. And again, we're not creating a Chelsea preview here, but they're so good. They're so intelligent. I don't know how he's been able to install that intelligence on the pitch that quickly. You've got to have players that are naturally intelligent, but to understand the tactics and to follow through with that within a couple of weeks or even a couple of months to get to that level they're performing at, and they're not even at full tilt. Well, once that front three start firing, we're all in for it. And if they go and strengthen in the summer, which again they get a transfer ban, they might not be able to.
They shouldn't.
Then they'll compete right at the top.
Yeah, they will next season. Yeah, definitely. I think Tuchel's a very good manager. He showed that at Mainz. He showed that at Dortmund. He showed that at PSG. He's a very good manager. He gets his team playing good football. You've seen their system this season. It's they're changing it from when he's come in, but he's come in. He said what he wants to do. This is our play, and the players have taken it on board, and they look like a really impressive team at the moment. They're hard to break down and also very good going forward. So, be a very tough game. But any game's tough in the Premier League, mate. As we've seen last week against Newcastle, no game now, especially with our current ambitions, can be taken for granted. So it's 5 cup finals now we've got left.
Five, 6 cup finals, isn't it? And look, they're winnable games. There's no way. I mean, if you get Declan and Antonio back and Cress back, then you give yourself a fighting chance. You can win anything. You could have like 4-1-0s, but no, in West Ham there'll be 4-3-2s. So it'll never be straightforward. But I think good end to the season. Let's see what happens. We might strike lucky with some of these bans and points deductions, hopefully, and sanctions. And you never know, mate. We still might get that European tour we wanted.
Oh, fingers crossed, mate. Yeah, fingers crossed. What's his comment from Roberto? Can any idea how we line up Saturday?
I'd go 5-3-2, mate, to be honest. Anthony says, don't expect anything from... I hope so, mate. I hope that's wrong. I really do. I wonder who's resigned. Yeah. I'll answer the question. Okay. Any idea how we're going to line up? I'll probably go 5-3-2. Again, pretty statutory. Johnson will be in, obviously, left wing back. Bonner, Dawson. I won't give away what team I'd like to see. I'll tell
Dawson won't be available. Dawson's not available.
Oh, of course he won't. Yeah, no, that's what I meant. So, Bonner on the left, probably like a Diop, and Balbuena, you'd have to probably back.
Bloody hell, Balbuena. I think it's been harsh on him because he got dropped out of nowhere for doing nothing wrong, didn't he, a few months ago, and he's not been seen since. But hopefully, this is his time to step up again.
And you'd have him on the right hand side of the back three. Yeah. Soufal, Souček, Nobes, Fornals, and then Lingard, Bowen. That would be pretty much the same, other than obviously Dawson being out. So we chewed the fat quite enough on the Newcastle game, and I'll touch the breaking down. There's some frustration still, but listen, it just feels like to end it, we've got football back, hopefully, and let's hope some of these associations act hard. Any last words, Dan?
No, like you said, mate, just glad football's back. The fans of United, we've all united despite rivalries in the game, come together. And like you said, it's been a mad 72 hours. you know, and all
Glued
in all
to my
areas.
phone for about 72 hours.
Yeah, no, I got off my phone, mate. My screen time's 72 hours at the moment,
Straight.
but 72 hours straight, mate. Yeah, but no, it's just good that common sense has prevailed. These clubs have left; they've realised the implications, and like you said, you'll never take football off fans. Fans will always be in power in football. If you will take football off us, then good luck. That's all I'm saying.
Bang on, mate. And on that note, we'll end it. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Drop a like on the stream before you leave. Fingers crossed this never happens again, but you never know with football and some of the greedy owners kicking in and around, particularly our own. So I'm sure we'll
schedule this again for a year, mate.
Yeah, I'll put it in the calendar, mate, and we'll reconvene. But thanks, everyone, for watching. All your pre-match content out this week for West Ham. I'll try and do a fans' voice tomorrow if I can. I think I've got some ideas for it, so hopefully everything's calmed down and we can get back to proper football. You'll get your my team against Chelsea out. I've done what to expect from Chelsea as well. So it's kind of like a bit of a tactical breakdown / some of the key players to watch out for. No watch along on Saturday because I am moving. So you'll have to watch it on your own without the commentary. But we'll either celebrate or we'll either moan about it after with a post-match chat with me and Dan. We'll sort it out. That'll be late, probably like 7:30, 8 possibly. So hopefully I'll be back home and we'll be sorted for then. And then we'll just recycle. Cup finals upon us. Take care, everybody. See you soon.